But the Annex A, okay, sa taas wala, yes. In the Annex A document, there is a PEP on top, and there is no PEP in the document, photocopy at least, given to me by your legal counsel from the bank.
Yes, Your Honor.
There is a marked difference. Could it be possible, Mr. Garcia, that the source of Annex A could still have come from your bank? However, there were alterations or modifications made because probably both the BSP and the AMLA were studying this document, since you said the AMLA was involved in the investigation. In short, because you gave photocopies to both BSP and AMLA based on their own investigations, they were doing notes, and they could have had those modifications.
If we get
They could have written on those documents.
If we get a photocopy of the original, Your Honor, there are items that are in the photocopy that are not in the original. And so what we're saying actually, with these, the other items that we have indicated, even the signatures, what we're saying is this particular Annex A cannot be a photocopy of the document that we hold.
You're saying that Annex A cannot, by any stretch of the imagination, be a photocopy of your document, or could it possibly be that it is a photocopy of a document which was based on the source document, which is from the bank, but with modifications because the people who had custody of that document were studying it and did notes, adding PEP, adding underlines, and having signatures?
The only thing that we can declare, Your Honor, it is not a photocopy of our document. And
It is clearly not a photocopy because it had a PEP on top and yours did not have.
Yes.
And that is not my question. My only question is, of course, when you have an original document which is photocopied and I write on the photocopied document, it will not be a photocopy of the original because I already put notes and modifications on that. So it is not a faithful reproduction of the original, but it is still a reproduction initially, but I put notes because I was studying that document. All I'm saying that, is there a possibility that the source document still could have come from your bank, not a leak, but because you gave the BSP and the AMLA a copy of the original document, they had it, they were studying it, and therefore there were modifications. But the account numbers are accurate, and those accounts actually exist and have been testified on.
I cannot answer that, Your Honor, because we can only look at the original documents. What our possibilities actually are just, we do not want to speculate on how this Annex A was completed or anything of that sort. We're just saying actually that the Annex A is not a photocopy of our document. As a matter of fact, I personally find strange that there are certain things in the Annex A which are different from the photocopy. Like, for example, in our document, Manila is MLA. In the photocopy, there are periods between M, L, and A. In our original document and a photocopy of our document, you will see very clearly Filipino being FIL. In this Annex A, it looks like it's FII.
Yes.
So,
There are many differences.
there's so significant number of
May I
differences.
know whether the presiding officer on the impeachment court had requested you to submit a memo on all the differences between Annex A and your photocopied document, and your original document?
We were not specifically requested to, but we would be prepared to
With
do
the
so.
permission of my colleagues in the impeachment court and the presiding officer, everything that he is saying now, apart from the fact that he testified on that, so that it is clear, could you give us a matrix on the differences between the bank document and Annex A, so that we will have a clear view of what are the main differences.
Yes, Your Honor. I personally went out of my way actually to even test. I got a photocopy of our original. I photocopied the photocopy. I then had a photocopy of that photocopy done and a photocopy of that photocopy done. In no way could it come anywhere what this annex is.
But the information on the bank account numbers,
Yes,
Are accurate.
they're accurate. Your
they're
Honor.
all accurate. There is no single number that is out of place, that is different.
Not that I know of. Your Honor.
What is the pleasure of the
My request, yes, Mr.
Gentleman,
President. My request was for the bank to provide us a technical description of their document as opposed to Annex A, Mr. President.
and the objection from the court regarding the request of the gentle lady from Antique? Hearing none, the bank is ordered to comply.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. President. That is all. And my last question, which I didn't expect you to be able to competently answer, was, could it be at all possible that your original document was given to BSP and AMLA and modified because of studies being and investigations being conducted, but of course you are not competent to say that.
The gentleman from Pampanga.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few questions, very quick questions to the witness. Mr. President, Mr. Witness, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
I noticed in the certified true copy of the document that you submitted, there is a stamp mark closed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Does it mean that all the peso accounts have been closed? All the accounts have been closed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, all of it, yes. We cannot touch on the dollar accounts, but it's... on the issue of earlier, Mr. President, Mr. Witness, sorry, there is a Renato C. Corona and Maria Cristina Corona accounts. There were 6. Just on the account, 2 accounts, 0891121020133, opening March 4, 2010, 7,280,000, and then it was closed on May 24, 2010. Would you have the data as to the closing amount in 2010, May 24? Closing balance?
The closing balance at the time was 7,332,505 pesos and 16 centavos, Your Honor.
And on the 0891210128882, September 19, 2007, and closed in 2008, September, 1 year later.
The closing balance at the time of closure was 98,373 pesos and 17 centavos, Your Honor.
And, well, no other questions, Mr. President. Thank you.
Who else?
Mr. President, may we move on by
I think the gentleman from Cavite was raising his hand.
No, Mr. President, I don't wish to belabor this issue. We should move on to the next witness.
but there was a cross-examination reserved by the defense, Mr. President. May we
All right.
allow the...
The defense may now proceed with the cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. But before proceeding with my cross-examination, Your Honor, may I be permitted to make a short manifestation, Your
Proceed.
Honor? With the kind indulgence of this Honorable. This morning, a news item appeared in a daily, Your Honor, which states that the prosecution has established beyond reasonable doubt their charges in the impeachment complaint, Your Honor. If that news is read by a member of the bar or a lawyer for that matter, then he will not immediately accept the truth of that assertion. But if it goes into the hands of somebody who had not taken up law, it may appear to be credible and it may blacken the real situation obtaining before this impeachment court. Why? Because the basis of the pronouncement is allegedly because there were bank accounts that were ordered opened, they were marked, but they were never yet presented in evidence, much less admitted by this honorable court. In short, when we refer to documentary exhibits, Your Honor, or evidence, it must first be identified, then marked, and then finally offered. And the adverse party is given the opportunity to admit or to object to the admission thereof. If it is admitted, then it shall be considered evidence in the case. But if it is not, and it is rejected, it will then attain only its statute as a mere piece of paper, Your Honor. It is along those lines that we made this manifestation in order to correct that information or that news which had no truth whatsoever, Your Honor.
Well, we let the manifestation of the gentleman stay to the record.
Now, may I now proceed with my cross-examination,
Proceed.
Mr. Garcia? Mr. Garcia, I heard... Good afternoon, Mr. Garcia.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening naman.
Good evening.
I'm sorry. I heard you state in the examination conducted a while ago that the AMLA authorities can just conduct investigation at their own will and volition. Is that an accurate assessment of your statement?
Not accurate, Your Honor, in the sense that by law they are authorized to. The AMLA law, Your Honor.
There is no question about their being authorized. But is that all? I understand that there is a necessity for a court order for them to conduct investigation pursuant to law. And I am referring to Section 11 of the AMLA law, which for purposes of clarity may I be allowed to read into the record, Your Honor. Notwithstanding the provisions of Republic Act number 1405 as amended, Republic Act number 6426 as amended, Republic Act number 8791 and other laws, the AMLA may inquire or examine any particular deposit or investment with any banking institution or non-bank financial institution upon order of a competent court in cases of violation of this act when it has been established that there is probable cause that the deposits or investments are related to any activity defined in Section 3 thereof or money laundering offense. So the way I understood it, there is a necessity for a court order allowing the AMLA authorities to conduct an investigation of the deposit of a certain individual.
And what Section 3 of...
Section 11, Your Honor.
Section 3. Is it Section...
Section 3, Your Honor, are the exceptions.
Are the exceptions?
Yes, and they are in cases of kidnapping with ransom, in cases of violation of the anti-drug law, Your Honor, and in other crimes considered as offenses wherein, notwithstanding the fact that there may be no court order, the examination or investigation may be conducted by the AMLA authorities, Your
Those
Honor.
are the so-called predicate crimes.
Right, Your Honor.
All right.
If it is a formal investigation, sir, I believe so, yes.
So you agree with me that insofar as formal investigation is concerned, a court authority is necessary?
Well, it is in the
That's what the law
investigation
provides.
of the balances of the account, etc., yes, Your Honor.
All right. And in this particular instance, was there any court order?
I cannot recall, Your Honor, but in this particular instance, what I can say is that there were no inquiries on balances. It is just the process of the bank, whether we were classifying the accounts properly.
I thought investigation conducted by AMLA had something to do with ill-gotten wealth or violation of the anti-graft law. Is it not?
Personally, Your Honor, this did not appear to be an investigation. It was just an audit of the process.
So it was a casual audit, you mean?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the idea or the purpose is not to determine whether the respondent Chief Justice had committed any